Let's go now to Tennessee and talk with Amanda. Amanda, you're with Allworth's Money Matters.
Hey guys, how are you?
Wonderful.
Awesome. So we are very blue class working collar folks. I grew up and my grandparents always had a little bit of rental property. So I've been very much drilled into you're never going to go wrong with real estate within reason. I mean, there's bubble crashes and all that kind of stuff. I get that.
If you don't have much
Right
debt,
now-
you're never going to go wrong.
Right. And that's kind of what we're working on. So I got 4 properties that I want to run down. The one house in Wellington, which is in Palm Beach County, Florida, was my grandparents' house. I bought it. I remodeled it. I'm using it as Airbnb. It's not doing fantastic this year. It's worth about $713,000. I owe about $206,000.
What's the interest rate?
5-ish.
What'd you pay for it?
$280,000.
And do you use it for your vacation home, or is it just a rental?
It's a rental, but it's somewhere that I anticipate living in the future. It's my quote unquote retirement home. My husband and I are both 51. New-ish marriages.
Okay, and how long ago did you buy this?
18-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right after the financial crisis, my guess.
Right. Well, it was. I don't know.
It's irrelevant.
Why is the interest rate 5%?
Because
you bought it in 2018.
Because I'm a face painter and I don't make a lot of money, and my DTI was high, and I did it by myself, so that's
Okay.
why.
Okay, so that's one property.
Okay.
Run down the other ones.
So that's the house that we want to live in. So the house that I'm currently living in was the house of my prior husband and I in just outside Nashville, Tennessee. So basically, my idea was to sell that house.
What's that worth?
Hold on a minute. $450 to $500.
And what do
I owe $205 on it.
What's the rate on that one?
Couldn't tell you.
Okay.
It's probably not fantastic. I mean, I don't even know how I've gotten the properties that I've gotten with the money that I make. It's a sheer act of God. I don't even know.
And
I'm not going to look at.
Okay.
I'm not going to look at it.
All right, in the
I'm gonna
Nashville,
look at horse in the mouth.
in the Nashville property, you're living in it?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So next property.
We plan on if we sell that one, which is what I'm planning to do. Like dollars to donuts, I will pay off the Wellington house completely, and then we can live in the Wellington house in Palm Beach County, debt free at 51.
Yep. Okay.
That would
I like that. I like that a lot.
We're pretty much on the same page.
And my guess is your
Okay.
vocation could be transported to just
I'm
about
guessing
any-
there's little kids everywhere.
It's and Palm
Maybe
Beach
less in
County is
Florida.
great for throwing parties. I mean, there's a lot of little kids in Florida,
Okay.
and a lot of parents with money.
All right.
Yeah.
Which is actually probably the most
Those
important
two
thing was the number of, not the number of kids.
The parents can afford to hire.
Absolutely.
Let's have a face painter over the party too. Why not? We'll have Barney show up.
You've
and the
been to
face
those
painter.
parties where they have the face painter. There's the
Oh, I know. We've had the hula dance
the
lessons at
balloon
my house.
twister.
You actually,
Yes.
Scott. I went to a off subject, but still one of the funniest things I think I've ever heard from you. When your daughter was probably 3 or 4, we were at your house, and there was this purple dinosaur named Barney,
Fake. It was a fake Barney. I
Okay.
think. Yes.
but reeked of cigarette
That's right.
smoke. Just the whole room reeked of cigarettes. And you
the
looked
whole
at
costume stunk.
and you looked at me and said, "The real reason the dinosaurs went extinct."
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
the third property.
Okay, the third property will go with his home in northwest of Nashville. That was his prior marital home that we now have as an Airbnb, and it's doing really good. Also, there's a mother-in-law that house that houses the mother-in-law
On
On
that
that same property.
on that same property.
Okay,
What's
yeah,
the-
that's the,
What's the value
Go
of that
ahead.
property?
between 5 and
And what do you owe on it?
600. 206.
Okay. And is there another property?
Does the mother-in-law pay a rent?
Hell no. No, sir. Sorry.
Okay.
No, she does not. No,
Okay.
I mean, no. No, she doesn't.
Oh, that's nice. We're not going to cut that out either.
We're
We're not gonna
Fantastic.
cut that comment out. And you said there's one more property as well?
And there's one more property. It's in North Florida in Palm Coast, which is, it was very retirement-y. Everybody is kind of dying off, and then new folks are coming in. So that's looking pretty good. So it's probably valued around $450, and we owe $256 on it.
And it's a rental?
It's also an Airbnb, yeah.
Okay, I like the idea of selling number 2 property outside of Nashville and using the proceeds. There's no capital.
Are
gains
the other
implications.
homes? Is the Airbnb the rent from that? Is it covering the mortgage cost and
They're
the mortgage?
doing good, yeah. So Palm Coast and my husband's house with the mother-in-law on it, they are doing really well. They are just a little train that could, although, and this is where my thing is like, well, if we pay it off, then we can have retirement money and we can have something to back up. But my husband says it's going to be so long before we pay it off because, our
That's
working
right.
balance in the banks are about $10,000 and we don't take any money out of it. We don't actually use the money from it because in case of whatever, the air conditioning goes out.
Are you guys prepared to move to Florida now?
I am.
Well, from a financial standpoint, it clearly makes the most sense.
Yeah, but how about your husband?
So we're looking between 6 months and a year. The problem is here's a hook. The mother-in-law wants to come with us, and she would have to come with us if we sold Ashland City. So she wants her own little house built on my property in Wellington, Palm Beach County.
How do you feel about that?
I'd rather her out than in, like have her own space than under the same roof. And
I'd love to rent an Airbnb with a built-in mother-in-law. I don't have one. And you're like, on the listing, you go to Airbnb and it says, this comes with a mother-in-law.
Comes with the actual mother-in-law.
It actually comes with, are you thinking, we could use it for bachelor parties. So Are you thinking of getting married? I can see a whole marketing campaign around this. Are you thinking of getting married? This is a test.
Oh my God.
She comes into the house every morning after these bachelors.
I actually I had the best mother-in-law in the world, so I had a different than
Let
most.
me just go on this riff, Scott. So she comes in the morning. Okay. I've got this whole marketing. Call me afterwards. I'll put together this bachelor.
Okay,
So, all right. So here's
fantastic.
look, if your mother-in-law stayed in the house that she's in, that's like an ideal situation because from a financial standpoint.
Right. Absolutely. And
right?
then
You're taking the
have
house
money coming in from the main house, and that's a property that we could keep, and she'd have her own space. And if she wanted to come down,
is there room on your property in Wellington to build a mother-in-law unit?
I can build up to 795
Okay,
square feet.
I think
extra.
you should do that.
So here's the other thing. My husband wants to sell Palm Coast, which we don't have that much equity in. He thinks we should use that to cushion our move into Palm Beach County. And he likes the idea of the S&P 500. I don't like stocks at all. I've had my parents lost their self on it. So we have a very
Whose house is that?
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm concerned about is what Scott just said. Who owns these properties and what kind of estate planning did you do?
Haven't done a darn thing.
How long have you been married?
We had a civil union last year. We're getting married in a couple weeks.
How long have you known him?
6 years.
Kids from previous marriages?
Me 2, him 1.
Okay. I think the most important thing is having this structured because you're each coming in with assets. Right? And different viewpoints on how to manage money going forward.
That's also a thing.
And having something structured now, like what happens if one of you dies?
What happens if...
Right. Well,
or what happens if the marriage doesn't work?
I mean, that's something once bitten, twice shy kind of thing. With me paying off my house, selling my house, and paying off my house, then there's no.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
There's no mingled money.
No, well, look, there's going to be mingled money. You're talking about actually taking certain assets from one and the other and combining the two. So you need,
which may be the right thing, but everyone needs to come in with eyes wide open. Number one, number two, to think about the kids,
right? So you need to have a trust that is structured so you need an estate planning attorney. And by the way, your opinion of the market is wrong.
Okay.
It's just flat out wrong.
I know nothing, only my own prejudices, and I can
and your own experiences.
That.
You've learned from your own experiences.
That's right. And whatever your parents told you about the market, they may not have. Everyone pretends like stock is all the same thing. It's not all the same thing, right? It's not.
I mean, the S&P 500 is owning the 500 largest companies
in the United States. And by the way, if that fell by 100%, your real estate would be worth nothing. Just going to throw that out there.
If every company became worthless.
Yeah, if your real estate becomes worthless, the economy, everything becomes, then we'd be talking about moving to northern Idaho and buying guns and a bunker. So you need an estate planning attorney first. And I think you're pushing this timeline as a little aggressive. You're not even...
the problem is that the Palm Beach County... the other two properties that we share one property, 50-50 partners. That's in the North Florida. His house is 100% his.
Okay, so that's why you need an estate planning attorney.
Well, you need to talk this through. If we sell the house in Nashville and go to the Wellington that you owned before, how do we structure it? And what happens if one of two things? One of us dies.
Right.
How is it structured
then? We have two houses in Nashville.
I understand.
Okay.
We get all that. We get all that.
The bigger issue.
Okay. Sorry.
We get all that. The bigger issue is you're trying to commingle assets that don't have equal value.
Yeah.
Without any clear understanding about how things will be divided if someone dies or
the marriage
doesn't work out. Right? The weird thing about marriages is they're so easy to get into. It's like a timeshare. You get there, it's all super exciting. You have a couple drinks.
You only seen the good parts.
And then
fun.
Bam! And then you're calling up a commercial where someone's trying to get rid of it. They're very, very difficult to get out of, especially if you have commingled assets without a clear exit path on the way out. So if you were sitting in my office, better yet, you'd be my younger daughter, my younger sister, I'd say, are you out of your mind, Amanda? What are we talking about here? You're talking about selling
You'd
this
be all
horse.
over your sister.
I would.
If you were a client, would be the same thing.
Correct. I would. If you were my sister, I'd call you today. I'd call you tomorrow. I'd call you the next day until you went to a qualified estate planning attorney to figure out what the exit looks like if it doesn't turn out.
Or if you die. Otherwise, kids get disinherited.
So and then I would tell you, slow down on the horse trading. Just slow it down. You haven't even been married you're civilly married. I get that. But look, it's too fast. It's too soon. You need to go through the estate planning process first. Settle it down for 6 months, 9 months, a year. There's no hurry. And then revisit the issue.
Well, the problem is that Palm Beach County is getting more expensive to live in.
Okay.
So I need to do something.
No, you don't have to do anything. No, you don't.
There's no rush today.
You think you have to do something. You think you have
whatever short-term economic cost you're talking about the next 6 months is negligible compared to the economic cost. You guys get married and suddenly you get killed in a car accident and your assets go to your new husband and your kids get disinherited.
How's that look?
I 100% see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I need to.
You need to go to
in West Palm. But listen.
No, I'm not going to. I'm just telling you, Amanda, you're my sister. I am not going to listen to this. You're giving me excuses about a real estate property and what you think is going to happen in the real estate property, by the way, which you don't know. Whether it's going to go up in value or down in value. You don't know. What I do know is I have sat in rooms with people that are in the process of divorce,
Right.
And I help them decide what came into the marriage, what left the marriage, how it looked.
You don't always decide. You mean the attorneys, or there's a mediator. And I've sat down with people who have been widowed, and I've talked with kids who've been disinherited, not because mom or dad didn't love them and didn't want their assets to go to them. It's because it was a future marriage.
This is something that we're totally planning on doing is the estate planning.
Yeah, so I would do that first.
Set up when we go
so
down
we can't talk about the other stuff.
We can't talk about it until that's
not
done.
to be rude, Amanda, but that's just how serious we think
that is done, call us.
Thanks.
All right,
there you go. Boy, she didn't like our answer.
No.
Sorry. Wow.
You called.
Did not like our answer.
It was an opinion, and it was a biased opinion.
Based upon our experiences. Whatever short-term rentals, renting is good enough.
We know it did. Remember, your investment already did. It's not doing.
And we have no idea what comes tomorrow.
No, none.
All kinds of things can happen. Like
What
happened in COVID.
Scott, what we do know is at some point in time, death will happen. We do know that.
We know that 100%.
And without the proper estate planning,
we know that.
And we've
seen what happens.
Yeah.